This is a picture of artist Albrecht Dürer. Albrecht Dürer was a German artist born in 1471. From 1400 to 1600, Germany was starting to experience the Renaissance. He lived in Nuremberg, which was the center of culture in Germany, and so he had a lot of different influences. By the time Dürer was 13, he was working in his father's goldsmith shop. By 15, he was apprenticed to a painter. By the time he was 26, he had traveled to Venice to see all of the Italian Renaissance artworks, so he would have been familiar with the works of Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, Donatello, and some of the other Renaissance artists. By age 28, he painted this painting, which would have been in 1500. 1500 is the same date that Leonardo da Vinci would have painted the Mona Lisa. So at this time, the idea of realism and a gaze looking out at the viewer would have been very popular. It's certainly noticeable that Dürer looks very Christ-like in this picture. I'm sure that was done deliberately. Many people started to paint paintings where Christ looked like this with the long hair and beard, very similar to these Northern Renaissance artists. There's a legend that says that this picture looked so much like Dürer, even his dog would bark at it. Another very famous painting of Albrecht Dürer is his Praying Hands. The Praying Hands is what we're going to use for our lesson inspiration today. It actually was just a study of hands in prayer that he was using for a larger work of an apostle, but somehow that painting either never happened or it got destroyed, and so we have the sketch of it, and that image has been reproduced over and over again. The hands are considered to be very expressive, and that's the reason for one of its great things of popularity. Praying hands are very difficult to draw, and I'm sure if I worked on this picture over and over again, I would get better and better with it. But I'm stopping here so that I can show you how to draw them. Even people who do art a long time, hands are one of the trickiest things to do in a drawing. But let's give it a try. First of all, what you need is you need some white paper. And we're going to do praying hands on an angle. Make sure that you have a good eraser handy and a pencil. First of all, what we're going to do is hands. The best way to start drawing hands is usually think of drawing a mitten first and then dividing the mitten into parts to create fingers. If you just try to draw the fingers on their own, they may not have a good relation to each other. So I'm going to draw here 2 lines opposite each other. This is going to show the wrists coming up into the hands. And then I'm going to have a rectangle that I'm going to put on top here. Okay. And then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to draw like a mitten at the top. Let's see where my fingers will go. And then I'm going to take this part here from the bottom and I'm going to come up and just make what looks almost like a backward L here, because the thumb is in profile when you're doing the praying hands. So you're going to be drawing your left hand and it looks like almost like a mitten or a popsicle stick at this point. Now, the next thing that you have to do is you have to divide it into parts, because your hand has this part here, then it goes into the joints here, and then the knuckles, and then the other moving parts here at the top, and then your nails. So there's a lot that you have to put in together. So I am going to divide this into 3 parts here. We've got this part here, 1, 2, 3. So this is meant to represent this part, this part, this part, okay? And then the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna divide it downwards. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 fingers. So I'm gonna do it 1, 2, 3, 3 lines, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So it sort of looks almost like a tic-tac-toe. So I'm going to add a few bits here. It rounds out in this part here, so I'm going to make it round. This finger here rounds out at the side, the little finger. The thumb comes up and rounds at the top here, comes up below that point. Okay. And then I'm going to start to see if I can shape these fingers. The little finger, the ring finger, a little bit taller. The middle finger's the biggest. And then the pointer is pretty much the same size as the ring finger. And you can start trying to put in the nails. Okay, I'm going to start erasing, seeing if that helps.
Sometimes when you're drawing hands, sketch lightly and start to figure out which lines you think are the best for drawing the hand.
And if you need help, you can always just look at your own fingers and see if you can get the right proportion. Up here, you have lines that seem to go horizontally. Same way with this area here in the middle of the fingers.
This way. You can see I'm trying to see what looks good on my hand here.
I can shade it in the middle, if that helps, because that's where my dark space is. And really, drawing is just a question of getting the right line and erasing the lines you don't want. Now, I can keep working on this some more until I have it exactly the way I want it. But if I want it to look like praying hands, I have to put another hand here on the side. So the best thing to do is just to take this part right here and add just a little side part, because you would see the underside of the hand, and then go over here and just try to mimic the shapes that you already have. you make a curve outside here, you'll make it look like you've got a sleeve on. And you can see how you're starting to build your praying hands. Okay, now I've done 2 different drawings. I think my second one's even better than my first one. And I think if I drew more and more and more, I'd get better with it, and I'd have better praying hands even the more I practice. So really just try it, see if you can get your own praying hand drawing. And just remember, hands are difficult to draw, just like faces are difficult to draw. But give it a try and see if you can create your own praying hands like Albert Durer. Okay, have fun.